My name is Sam Sikuna. I'm a social work lecturer and a Birmingham University teaching fellow. And what I'd like to talk about today is how I created a multi-screen, multi-platform mobile phone and tablet app to explore issues of professionalism and social media. And I think that although the focus of this app is on social work, I think the issues actually cover pretty much every professional discipline. Like most disciplines, what we found is that the students coming onto our programs, a very high percentage of them are already using social media, particularly in terms of the mobile use of social media, mobile phones, tablets and so on. And exploring some of this use in depth actually demonstrated that it's actually becoming part of their day-to-day behaviour in terms of how they use social media. And if we don't cover some of the ethical issues around how social media is used during their training and post-training, we're going to find that actually students are going to, as professionals, start to get themselves into trouble. Now, I can say that it's not only social workers that this applies to, but teachers as well, nurses, and doctors and so on as well. So how do you actually cover uses of social media in what tends to be quite a congested curriculum? Well, I think one way that you can do it is as a pre-induction activity, so that when students are actually enrolled onto a program, is perhaps send out a link to an app and basically get them to work through it, so that by the time they come into the first couple of days of induction, what you can do is begin to start exploring these issues in a little bit more detail. Now, the app I've created is actually available on the iTunes App Store and on the Google Play Store, because we're not discriminating against anybody except BlackBerry users and Windows users. Yep. So what I found is that by developing for iOS and Amazon, we're actually covering about 70 to 75% of, well, actually a lot higher than that, 80 to 85% of the user base in terms of mobile devices. This is just sorry, I should say that. This is just a short video.
Well, we're ready now.
Sorry. This is just a short video that actually demonstrates how the app works. So what we're going to try this year is basically send the links out to the students. They have to make a huge investment of 69 pence to actually download the app, and which is significantly less than a textbook. And the app actually takes about anything between 20 to 40 minutes to work through, depending on your knowledge. And what it does is it uses branching options. So depending on your decision making, different outcomes will appear. Because we're using because I'm using a principles-based approach, what happens is the outcomes tend to mirror real outcomes that were generated from research. And so the aim is for the students to explore these issues on their own at the beginning, and then when they actually come into the classroom setting, we look at the 5 different case studies, their responses to those case studies, and begin to explore any issues that perhaps weren't too clear or things that they disagreed with, and the outcomes can be contentious in some cases depending on your background knowledge and information. And the aim is just to stimulate that debate so that the learning begins to develop through discussion and debate in the classroom setting. And that's it. Was that 5 minutes?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Very good indeed. Thank you very much.
So I can do fun.
You can.
Any questions? Pete?
Do you expect the learners to go through these scenarios multiple times to see whether their choices that they make have different outcomes?
Yes. They're encouraged, so let's say that they manage to get through it the first time, because what happens is if there's a not so good outcome, they have to restart. And so the challenge in the beginning is using a little bit of games theory, is that can they make their way through without having to restart? And the aim of that is to get them to think very carefully and invest in the response, as opposed to just simply tapping through without actually thinking about what the potential consequences may be. And then if they manage to get it through the first time without having to restart, then go through it again but make the mistakes and see what issues arise as a consequence of the mistakes.
Sounds great.
Are you able to record anything of the movement through this?
I would have liked to have done that, but you have to go through quite an in-depth and involved process with Apple to collect any kind of data sent from an app, cryptography and US legislation and so on. But I am going to explore it for the next one, but it's just the time frame, I just didn't have the opportunity.
I saw your Storyfy video, some of the comments from the students as well, look fantastic. I was wondering, what about resistance and people who aren't interested in using that? What have you encountered and what do you do?
Well, I've not encountered it yet, but if, say, for example, students didn't want to use the app, purchase the app and don't have the mobile devices themselves, then the aim is to get them to work in groups with those who do have it and still get a chance to experience the learning behind it as well. I have got the option of creating a desktop version as well, and I am exploring that at the moment. And it's the dissemination, because once you put it up onto the app stores, basically it's available worldwide. With the Mac App Store, it is, but Windows doesn't have an equivalent that I've come across that makes it as easy to download. So I'm exploring that.
Is there any resistance to having to pay for an app if it's for their own teaching?
Well, I had a small advisory group, and it was felt that if we aimed it at the lowest price level, that there's an investment of some nature rather than having something just free, which the advisory group felt that students may feel, well, if it's free, it's not really worth anything. Whereas if you have to make a small payment, then there is just that little investment.
The students have been buying a lecturer's textbook for years, haven't they?
Yeah.
So I've got a question to ask them. So if the subject matter sort of evolved and you need to update content, is that easy to do in the way you've developed it?
Yeah. I've got the core files, and basically you'll see those version 1.0.0. Then as soon as you update it to 1.0.1, because it's under 50 meg, it will automatically update. The app will give you a notification that the app's can be updated. Just simply press update and it updates it automatically. Now that's one of the beauties of the thing.
That's with Google Play as well.
Yeah, Google Play and on the iTunes store. But it's good, but you've got to make sure that to do it over the air, that the actual size of the app is less than 50 meg. And you can go up to 2 gig in terms of app size.
You're not limited to how many amount of updates per year?
No.
Yeah.
And so to clarify, you produce this in Adobe Flash.
Adobe Flash Player. And the advantage of that is that you just have to learn one programming language, and you produce once, but you can publish to the Android platform and the iOS platform, because it creates native files for both. And so it seems silly to kind of learn 2 different programming languages and 2 platforms.
Terrific. Good. Okay, thank you very much indeed, Taz.